Hello cycling community, this is Steve Grusis. This is now my off season. My first workout on the road is weightlifting on a bicycle. Let's get started.
Each off season, I like to do something a little different, focus on something different in my off season that I focused on in the previous off season. One year, I worked to improve my spin. Another year, I worked on my climbing. This year, it's all about gaining strength in my legs and focusing on time trials and flatland work. This particular interval that I'm doing today is what I call weightlifting on a bicycle. I'm using low cadence work in a focused manner. So what I mean by that is that I am over accentuating my spin as if I'm trying to pull my foot out of the pedal at every point in the circle. I'm not worried about intensity, not worried about speed. I just go in the biggest gear that I can without getting bogged down and keeping my RPMs hopefully in the 50 to 60 range. And on this, I do this for 5 minutes. I start off by doing 3 5-minute sets, at least for the first time that I'm doing it. And the next week that I'll do it, I may go to 4 5-minute sets. What makes this particular workout hard for me is that I have to stay focused. And the focus is on the pedaling technique. Again, making sure that you're over accentuating and that every point in the circle you're trying to pull your foot out of the pedal. When I first started doing these, I think about it for 10 seconds and then my mind would start to drift and I have to force myself because I would start pedaling in squares or something like that, or some other awful technique. So staying focused for 5 minutes is tough on this type of thing. The more you do it, the more I did it, the more I got used to it. Most of the time thus far on this interval, I've had a slight headwind, which makes it nice because it forces me to go harder. So you'll notice that the power in the lower right hand corner was usually above 300, and now I'm turning into a right turn, so I got to slow for this. Now when I turn, I've got a bit of a cross tailwind, and especially when I get on front when I'm doing an interval there, and so I'm going faster than I really want to. So at that point I'm sitting up, so I become a kind of a sail, and that'll slow me down a bit, forces me to exhibit more power, or to use more power to keep going, which is what I wanted to do. When the 5 minutes are done for this particular interval, then what I do is I spin easy for 5 minutes, let my legs recover, and then I go again. I'm now on Front Road doing my second interval. I have a slight slight tailwind in this case, which is not what I want. And so I'm sitting up, like I was saying earlier, so I can catch some wind and force my legs to produce more power. While I was riding, I saw a Dyka Hackett jersey, didn't know who it was, and then as I passed him, I got a pleasant surprise. That was Ben Medrano. So he got on my wheel. Yep. We avoided that roadkill over there. And so right now I am still producing some power. In fact, I think this is my next rest stage. Ben turned left at Broken Bridge to continue his commute home, and I started my third interval up the damn hill. Now ordinarily with these type of strength intervals, it's best to find a low grade climb, a couple percent that you could do this with. We don't have a lot of these, at least that go for 5 minutes, that are close. So I've adapted this to go in the flat land, and that's worked quite nicely for me. I also use this for a number of my clients, and they get the benefit of this workout also. So I elected to do my third interval on the damn hill. It's a little different. You're still focusing with the spinning, but it feels different angles, etc. So I just use this to work on my leg strength, at least with climbing. Once I was done with that third set, I turned around and came back down, and then started going up Broken Bridge. I was doing what I call standing hill sprints. I'd sprint for 15-20 seconds, and then ride easy for at least 30 seconds, and then start sprinting again, standing and sprinting. Did this for extra credits. I was feeling pretty good, and actually had it in my mind that I would do this afterwards. I think I saw somebody way up ahead, and that gave me incentive to keep going and to put some power into my sprinting and see if I can catch him. Of course, I never did, though. So all in all, I think I got about 3, maybe 4 sets of sprints before I turned around and came back down. Once I got back down to the T intersection, I thought I'd go for double X credit. I would do a upper endurance interval below tempo, but in a big gear. So in this case, I would stay in that upper endurance zone and use a slightly bigger than normal gear when doing this type of work. Because the previous day I had a weightlifting session where I did squats, Romanian deadlifts, etc. I didn't know how I was going to react. Ordinarily, when I'm not lifting and I'm doing these workouts, the strength, those original strength intervals, I could go and do a 20-minute big gear upper endurance interval without any problem. Now I wasn't quite sure how my body was going to react, so I would go as far as I felt I could without hurting myself, and then build from there. So as it turns out, I went out about 9 minutes for this interval, and then I spun the rest of the way in, because I had another leg weightlifting session the next day, which is the day that I'm recording this. So the interval workout was on Wednesday, and my leg workout I did earlier today on Thursday. So my wattage in this case was usually around, say 250. It did vary up, vary down a little bit. I didn't worry about staying within a certain range. I went more on feel this time. As I'm approaching the midway point to Woodward Park, so this is going to be I think it's a quarry entrance where the road goes up a little bit. You can see that I'm starting to get tired. Actually, I'm well into getting tired. My wattage now shows about 250, but on the flats it was like 220, 230. So it was getting close to time to stop this interval. I think I went to about the top of the riser, and then I cut the interval right there. After the interval, my work was done. I shifted to a much easier gear and then spun in. This was a great workout. Took less than 90 minutes. I hate riding without purpose. If I was going to come out and just do an easy endurance ride because it's the off season, I may not have done it. But having something that I can focus on, that helps me build for the future, that's what motivates me.
Ooh-wee, that was a good workout. All in 90 minutes. A lot of my workouts that I give like this to my clients during the off season, you can do on a trainer, or you can do before it gets dark, depending on how the daylight is. If you like this video, hit like. If you want to get in contact with me, just post below. Tomorrow, I'm back in the gym.